I'm Sis Elliott, aka Dolores, and this is my husband Dale.
That's me.
Awesome. Welcome, guys. Thank you for doing this again. I think it's definitely gonna help. I guess a first question to start off with is how does epilepsy affect you?
Well, it affected us 20 years ago.
Big time.
25 years ago, actually. Big time. Since we lost our son to epilepsy because of epileptic seizures. So, I mean, he was born normal and had epileptic seizures when he was 5 months old. And it all changed from there.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yep.
Okay. And so what obstacles have you had to overcome back then or now?
Boy, well, the biggest obstacle we had to come when we had that bed when they went back in the hospital and they had to start all over again.
A lot of obstacles.
That was the biggest obstacle.
A lot of obstacles. A lot of driving back and forth to Halifax for appointments and speech therapy and occupational therapy, and neither of us drive, so that was a big challenge for us. A lot of ambulance trips, and even just going to an appointment meant an ambulance trip because he couldn't drive in a regular vehicle because of the flashing of the sunlight through the trees. So it was very difficult to even go to Digby for an appointment. So a lot of his trips went by ambulance.
It had to be in tinted
yeah,
glass.
Had to be in tinted glass so that the light wasn't shining through the trees so he couldn't see it, because that would set him into a seizure. So, and I mean, we have 2 other daughters, so it was a huge obstacle for them.
Very big.
Yeah.
Okay. So your other daughters, were they older or younger than Andrew?
They're both older. He was the youngest.
Okay.
Yep.
So how did Andrew's passing affect you guys in terms of continuing to raise your daughters?
Well, I guess it was our daughters that kept us going.
Yeah, that's
because it was like we just wanted to die with him.
Felt like it. I felt like I wanted to.
But it was our daughters that kept us going. We just, they needed us. We had to be there for them, and we just had to keep pushing through it. So
I'm sorry you had to go through that. Yeah.
So Sis and Dale, as a parent, it's that's one of our worst nightmares. How did it affect? Like, I know for me, when Cass has a seizure at nighttime, I'm terrified for a couple nights. I can't even sleep.
Oh, me too. I have many, many, many nights when I slept either beside him or not at all.
So after Andrew passed, did you find that heightened your anxiety with your other girls, like your other children, even though they may not have had epilepsy? Did you find you became more aware or hypersensitive?
Oh yes, for sure. Yes,
definitely.
It's like if one of the girls were sick, especially after he passed away, if one of the girls were sick with a fever or anything, it's like I did not leave their side. It's like scared to death.
Understandable.
That's a good question. Yeah. So how did it affect your daughters when in their life? Like how did his passing affect them, and how did they deal with it? And
well, it was really hard for them, especially my oldest daughter, Stephanie. She was
a mother figure.
Yeah, she was like his second mother.
Second mother.
She was like a mother figure to him, and she didn't want to come to the hospital because she knew when we called her to come to the hospital that he wasn't coming back home again. So she didn't want to come to the hospital. We basically forced her to come there. And Natasha was young enough, like she was 2 years younger than him, or older than him, I mean. So, but she was young enough. It didn't, at the time, it didn't really affect her as much as Stephanie, but Stephanie was more aware of what was going on and everything. And so she did not want to be there. So we, like I said, we basically forced her to come to the hospital to say goodbye to him and stuff. And it was really, really difficult for her. She didn't want to stay at all. She stayed for, I think, 2 days maybe. And it was very, very hard for her. So we just let her go home with my aunt, or my sister and her aunt. And we just let her go home and deal with it her way. But shortly after that, she started having severe panic attacks, depression disorder, and a lot of, she still has a lot of depression disorder and panic attacks and stuff. It was really, really difficult for her. She didn't want to go back to school because she didn't want to face her friends. So she stayed home for I think 4 weeks or something like that.
Around a month, she stayed home.
A month or so after he passed away. She did not want to go back to school because it's like she didn't want to face her friends, basically.
We didn't try to force her, do we?
Yeah. But Natasha, she just wanted to get back out there and be in with her friends and just kind of pretend like it didn't even happen. Yeah.
Okay. And
it was really hard on them. I'm kind of sad now that I didn't get them grief counseling when they were younger, because I think it might have helped a lot.
I think it would have helped Stephanie a lot.
Yeah, I think it would have helped Stephanie a lot with her anxiety and stuff at the time, but we just didn't think of it at the time, I guess.
I guess we had too much on our own plates at the time.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Which is fair. I mean, it does affect all of you guys. You guys were trying to cope, and
the way our girl, Andrew, like we said, Stephanie's like second mother to Andrew.
Yeah.
And we get up in the damn morning, and Andrew be in bed with the girl. One girl on each side.
Yeah.
And they would say, Andrew come and got in with us. And we'd say, yeah, okay, that's fine. Later on, we found out they used to go get him, bring him in with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they went to bed we didn't know this until after he passed away, but when they went to bed at night, it always seemed like he woke up every night when they went to bed. But it was apparently because they were waking him up and come and sleep with us, bud.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
We want to protect you, basically.
And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
When I found it broke my heart.
Yeah.
Breaking mine too.
Yep.
So you guys live in a kind of small community. How did, being from a small community myself, passings and deaths can affect the whole community a lot?
Yes.
How did, Andrew was well loved, very vibrant. All his photos, he seemed so happy and full of life. How did it affect the community?
Oh, everybody loved him.
Everybody loved him.
Everybody knew him and everybody loved him. When he started school, it was like he had all these people at school that wanted to be his helper for the day. Yeah. It was like everybody was fighting to be his helper for the day, or to do something, or to participate in his occupational therapy at school, or to take him to the playground. Even though he had an aide, he always wanted somebody else to go with him. It's like the community, the whole community knew him and loved him and had absolutely no issues whatsoever with him.
No, they did not.
Like,
everybody loved him.
A neighbor would drive down the road and stop at the end of our driveway to talk to us, and he would run out and jump in their car.
That time he jumped over and took out the doorstep, and he went out and jumped in the car with Everett.
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, he was greatly loved by the community.
Well, of course, our neighbor, he jumped in the car, so our neighbor took him for a drive.
Yep.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yep.
Edward looked at me and said, I'll bring him right back.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe you could always track him down.
Yes. But when it came to actually somebody looking after him for the day, that was difficult.
Oh, couldn't find nobody.
Nobody wanted to look after him because they were scared of his seizures. So if I had an appointment for me for the day and had to go away, it was very difficult to get somebody to watch him because they were all scared of his seizures.
Sorry to hear that.
We couldn't go out anywhere together because no one would babysit for us.
No, it was like
if we
either
wanted
he
to go out-
went or I went.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We tried that scene. We didn't like it, so we decided to stay home.
We did have a couple family members that would stay with him, but
Yeah.
even though they were scared, and one or two times he did have a seizure on my best friend when she babysit him, and a couple times, but most of the time he was good.
That's good.
Yep. He would wait till we got home and then have a seizure.
Well, you know, so at least he waited.
Yeah, yeah.
Usually the sister wanted to go out somewhere in the evening or something, and I was home, I would stay with him. I had no problem staying with him, so
Yeah.
she would go out. I just let her, I'd actually send her out and give her a break.
Yep.
She needed one after being with him all day, believe me.
Yep.
I know what it's like. She went downstage to IWK for a friggin' month, and I had to work and look after the girls and find babysitters for them and someone to go in and cook them meals while I was working. I could never find the same person every day. So I had to find someone different all the time. It was quite a handful to do, quite a chore, but I managed.
It would be hard.
That'd be really hard. But it sounds like you guys had a overall good support system.
We did have a good
Yeah.
support system.
Yeah.
Small communities, they really stick together. When people have trouble, they do.
Yeah, I can't imagine ever
Nope.
doing it in a big city.
No,
or,
I can't either.
You know, anything
no,
like
I
that.
can't either. But
Yeah, where
in the
people
small-
don't know you.
yeah, in a small community, everybody knows it. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, and we have large families,
Yeah.
so that helps a lot.
Yes, I came from a large family. She came from a family.
Yeah, it's small communities are great that way. And
Yep.
always have your back no matter what.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
It would be hard, like taking turns going out, staying home. You guys are such a beautiful and strong couple. It's stories so far very inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, in your opinion, why do you guys think it's important for people to talk about SUDEP regularly?
Because when it happened to us, we had no idea.
We never had a clue. No, we didn't. What was
We
going
never
on.
thought that we would lose our son because of epileptic seizures.
Nope.
Even when he was 3, he had a seizure for an hour and a half, and everybody thought, we didn't think it at the time, but all of our friends and family thought he's not coming back home again. But we didn't think that at the time, because every time I had a seizure, it doesn't matter how long it was, he always seemed to bounce back and wake up and say, hi. That
Big
was his
grin on his
favorite
face.
thing to do.
Yeah, you got a big grin on your face. Say hi. That was
But he
it.
had that really bad seizure when he was 3. And everybody was worried that he wasn't gonna pull through it because he went into it like a coma. And that he had to learn how to eat and walk and talk and crawl and everything all over again.
Yep, he did.
But we had faith and we knew that he was gonna pull through it.
And he did.
And he did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I thought it made watch him learn all over again as quick as he learned. It amazed me.
Yeah, it's like we spent, I think it was like 2.5 months at the IWK. And then when we went home, he had to learn how to crawl and feed himself. It was just like having a baby all over again.
He had to learn to talk.
Yeah. but by the end of the summer, he bounced right back. Within 2 months, he was pretty much back to his normal
He's
self,
pretty much his normal self.
except he forgot about his blankie and his soother. He never ever went back to them. He forgot all about them.
We
So.
never gave him back to him anyway.
No, he forgot all about them, but pretty much everything else, he just bounced right back.
Yeah, he did.
That's amazing. That's a good recovery time too. 2 months.
Yes.
That's like I said, I was pretty impressed with the way he.
Yeah, I mean, it took him a lot, probably longer than that to recover his speech. His speech was gone for quite some time. And obviously he was developmentally delayed because of this seizure and because of all the medications that he was on after that seizure. So he was, quite a few years behind his age. But he managed to crawl back.
I think most of us had him over medicated for long periods of time, and that stopped his learning ability right there. He just stayed the same. And then when they found the right medications for him, he started to learn.
Yeah.
But he was so far behind by then, it's going to take one long while to catch up.
Yep.
Sounds like a true warrior.
Yep.
He was.
Sure was.
He was my inspiration.
Was.
He used to walk with me every day, and he loved it.
He could outwalk any of us.
Yeah, he used to push his mother out the door just so he could stay dead.
Yep.
He
You
did.
go to Mary's now, Mom. I'll stay with Dad and watch Wheel of Fortune.
In Jeopardy.
And Jeopardy. His two favorite shows.
Sounds amazing.
Yep.
He was an amazing kid.
Sounds like it.
He was.
Inspiring, strong.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely a true warrior.
Yep.
I guess the last of my question would be, do you guys have any last pieces of advice for people that are going through this, or that have been living with SUDEP and still trying to find their ways?
never give up, I'd say.
Yeah. Never give up, for one thing.
Never.
And never give up. And always take all the information you can find. I found that was the hardest thing for me. We didn't know anything about it. We learned. I think we learned more after he passed away than we knew before. We always felt like we were alone because, of course, our small community, nobody else had severe seizures like he had. And
he was just one of a kind.
Yeah, he was just one of a kind. And we always felt like we were different because we didn't know anything about seizures or SUDEP or anything like that when we were dealing with him. So it was very difficult because all we knew was what the doctors were telling us, and they kept saying, yep, he's going to outgrow it. He's going to be fine.
Yeah, I know. That's all we heard for a few years.
That's all we heard for a few years. The medications are going to help. He's going to be fine. He's going to outgrow it. But little did they know that wasn't true.
Sorry to hear that. That's great advice. So if someone would just met you at an event or at the gala and you were going to tell them a brief story of your connection to epilepsy, what you went through with epilepsy and with Andrew, what would you tell them?
I would tell them I had a beautiful son. When he turned 5 months old, he started having seizures upon seizures of like 5 different types of seizures.
Yep.
And I was petrified.
So was I, with 2 of us. We didn't know what was going on, neither one of us.
Didn't have a clue.
We were both scared to death.
Had never seen anybody ever have a seizure in my life.
Neither.
And one of my biggest fears was having a child that had seizures or choking. And he did both all the time. He had like basically no gag reflexes, so he choked on his food a lot. And that's why my oldest daughter is petrified of choking right now.
Fair.
And her son also has a problem with choking. And my grandsons were, my grandkids, my daughter's kids were terrified that their kids would always have seizures too.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I just lived it one day at a time. I didn't think about the day. Is today going to be the day that he's going to have another bad seizure or whatever? I just did everything naturally that I would do. I tried to take him places with my daughters when they had concerts and all that kind of stuff. And we would try to take him. Most of the time, Dale ended up bringing him home because he didn't like crowds. He didn't like to be in crowds. He would get all confused and get cranky, basically, because he didn't like to be in that sort of environment. But
he had a free spirit.
Yeah. He, I mean, I missed out on a lot of things because of his seizures, because I couldn't be there for the girls. Either I was at the hospital with him or I had to stay home with him because he couldn't be there in that kind of environment. Or there was a lot of missed years with my girls, I must say.
She spent a whole month down in the hospital in the IWK with Andrew. And I had to juggle between work and everything with the girls. And it was hard. It was really hard. And I missed her so much. But the good part about it, I got to talk to her every night. And I got to talk about Andrew's progress, how he was doing and everything. Yeah. And after I got off the phone with her, I felt better about everything.
The worst part is not knowing.
Yes, it
not
is.
Knowing anything. Like I said, I was blindsided. I knew nothing about seizures. I was terrified the first time I had to go to the IWK. Had been there previous years with my oldest daughter because she had eye surgery and eye problems.
Yeah, I remember
and
that well.
It just so happened that we were in the exact same room that she was in when she had her eye surgery. And I sat there and I cried most of the night.
Yeah, she did.
When I was there with Andrew, because I was terrified of what the outcome was going to be. I was all alone. I knew nobody. I didn't know what to expect, what he was going to have to go through, and how long we were going to have to be there. And it was terrifying. It really was. So I think the best thing to do is get out as much information as you can on epileptic seizures, sudden unexpected death in epilepsy, because people don't think that you're going to die from a seizure. I mean, I have a few friends I know that have epilepsy and they don't have 2 and 3 hour long seizures. No. They have 2 and 3 minute seizures, not 2 and 3 hour seizures. I mean, they're nothing. I mean, it's still epilepsy. They still have problems with medication and everything, but the average person does not have a 2 hour seizure.
But to watch your son have a 2 hour seizure is something else.
It's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking.
Just sitting there and watching
make me cry.
And nothing you can do about it. There's just nothing you can do. You just have to watch it and take it all in. And it's not easy. It's hard. It's so hard. The day he had the big one there before he went to Halifax, and they took him to Digby, she had just got out of the hospital. Just had a hysterectomy and stuff, and she just got home. And I never went in the ambulance with Andrew before because she always went. And I said, well, she get home, she shouldn't be doing this. So I went with him.
Yeah, first time ever. I never went in the ambulance.
She never went. And of course, I know when I got to the hospital, and she called me.
And he said he's still seizuring. And this is like an hour and a half later.
About an hour later, that's all that was.
I ran to my neighbors, who was my best friend, and said, I need to go to Digby right now. Andrew's still having seizures, and I need to be there. Even though I wasn't supposed to be there.
No.
I had to be there. And I never came back home again until
she did
after
not.
he passed away.
Nope, she didn't. Nope. I went home after that, and then when they transported him to Halifax, Dr. Canfield called me and told me to come down. So I dropped everything. I just went.
But it was different when he had this last seizure. I knew, I think even before we took him from Digby Hospital to Halifax Hospital, he was in Digby Hospital for 3 days after the bad seizure. And then they decided to transport him to Halifax. And apparently on the way there, he was having silent seizures, status seizures that we didn't know about. And when we got there, it's like they whooshed him away into the emergency. Dr. Denton went with me, who was our family doctor, and a nurse went with us in the ambulance. And it's like everybody just disappeared, and I'm sitting there in the waiting room all by myself, and he's in intensive care, and they wouldn't let me go in, and I'm just sitting there like stunned, kind of. And finally the doctor came out and he said he's having silent seizures and we have to do a brain scan and blah 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 and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, like whatever, let me know when I can come in, because of course they wouldn't let me go in with them. And then I see him taking all this machinery in there to do scans and everything. And then finally, I don't even know how many hours later it was, but they came out and said, you can come in and be with him now. And then that's when they told me that he was basically brain dead, that there was nothing that they could do.
And that's when they called me.
And that's when they called him to come down to Halifax and talk about what our options were. And yeah, it was horrible.
Hardest thing I ever had to do.
Yeah.
Hardest thing I did in my life.
It must have been really scary just waiting and not knowing too.
Oh, it was. It was terrifying. I never been so terrified in my life. Never. And like I said, I was all alone. I had nobody to talk to, and nobody was telling me what was going on. And it was just so scary. But they give me a room to sleep in.
That's good. That's a upside, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but you had a room to sleep in.
Yeah. And I knew when I went to that room that night after I had talked to him and they said it's not good. They didn't definitely tell me that he wasn't going to make it, but they just said it's not good. But I already knew in my heart that it wasn't good, that he wasn't going to make it. I already felt that feeling. And when I went to my room to try and sleep that night, which I didn't sleep, I just sat there and I prayed for hours. You know, God, just do whatever you think is best. I didn't pray for God to make him better. I didn't pray for myself. I just prayed for whatever you think is the best is what I want you to do. And I guess that's what he thought was the best.
I knew when Dr. Canfield called me, I knew he wasn't coming home.
Yeah.
That broke my heart right then when I got that phone call.
Yeah.
Nothing I could do about it, and I sucked everything in, went to Halifax.
Yep.
Then we had a meeting with Dr. Canfield, and then we had a talk. And we had to make our own decision what we was going to do.
And then we had to bring the girls in and talk to them.
And that was hard too.
Explain to them what was
hard.
going on and that he wasn't going to make it. And it was very difficult.
It sure was.
Seems like a dream in the past at sometimes now. It's like that first year after he passed away, it was like a dream to me. It's like I just moved one foot in front of the other every day to try to move. I knew I had to move on for the girls, but sometimes when I think about it, I can't even imagine that it was 25 years ago.
I think I was in shock for about the first month.
Yeah.
I never come around. When he first died, I couldn't eat nothing. All I do is drink coffee and smoke cigarettes.
Yep.
That's all I did. Everybody trying to get me to eat. And I said, how you going to eat if you're not hungry?
That's right.
Yeah.
Because when I get ready to eat, I'll eat.
Yep.
It took a while, but I started eating again. Well, I started picking.
I don't know. I could just talk on and on and on forever and ever.
Fair. I understand what you mean, but like sometimes it doesn't feel like it's been 25 years already. You feel like it's still yesterday.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some days I think, oh my God, that was just.
I know it.
Just a few years ago, and they no, that was 25 years ago. But when I think about it, it could have been yesterday. It could have been yesterday. Like the feelings, the emotions, and everything are just like it happened yesterday.
Yeah, it does.
Just like it happened yesterday. But like I said, the first year you're kind of numb.
You are.
You're
Very
not
numb.
even really with it. You're just, like I said, you're just putting one foot in front of the other, trying to get by day. But the second year, I crashed. It was really, really hard the second year. Because then I think reality hits.
Reality struck in.
And you realize, this is it. It's not going to change. You have to move forward. You have two other girls who depend on you. You have to move forward. And that's the only thing that kept me going. If it wasn't for my girls, I would have crashed.
You definitely would have.
Yeah, I would have.
They kept her together.
Yep. I do have, I don't have severe depression disorder, but I do have depression disorder. I have panic attacks, which started a few years after he passed away. I never had them before in my life, but they come and go. I struggle with it every day, just about now.
Yeah, after he died, I used to have a little depression, but I got over every one of them.
Yep.
Just like
and the one
hill.
thing is, too, Dale was an alcoholic for years. And I was really scared after Andrew passed away that I thought he's going to turn back to alcohol. But he never did.
That's amazing.
Never did. I'm so proud of him for that. He never did.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
I was scared that he was going to.
I drink now sociably. I drink.
He has a sociable beer or something.
I don't drink like I used to.
No.
I'll just put it that way.
No.
Fair. And that's good. I mean, it's good that you can still drink like socially and not be too much. I know that can be a struggle for some people, so.
That's right.
It can be a struggle. I can cut myself off when I want to.
Yeah. It can be a struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that really worried me after he passed away. I thought for sure that he would just go back to drinking, and that would be the end of our that would have been the end of our relationship had it happened, but no, it didn't happen. And I'm very thankful for that.
One thing I'm for in my life is all the time I had spent with Andrew, all the things we did together, all the walks we had, all the places we went. I've got tons and tons of memories, and I could talk about them for weeks.
Yep.
That's amazing. Yeah, keep those memories close. Epilepsy is so much more than just the seizures, and it's that thing that people have to realize.
Yeah.
Yep, they do. And it's like I said, 25 years ago, nobody talked about it.
No, nobody did.
Nobody talked about it. Nobody's ever, it's like a rare thing that you ever heard of anybody talk about it. We tried to find some history in our family or
looked
his
on both sides of the family. Couldn't find them.
Because they said at first that what he had was probably hereditary, but we tried to get history, but they didn't talk about it back then. They just hid it.
No, a lot of I think a lot of that generation, former generations, didn't talk about any health conditions.
No.
I mean, even trying to figure out something where my other health conditions came from, we asked the great aunt, the elders.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, we can't talk about that.
Exactly. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
We went into the same problem because at first they said, well, maybe Dale's dad had seizures. And then they said, no, it wasn't his dad that had seizures. It was his friend. And it's like, we never did really find out the truth.
No, it was Bob Buckman's one that had.
Yeah.
seizures.
So
Yeah,
we don't really know for sure.
Interesting.
But I know, I've never seen anybody have a seizure ever. So
I didn't. Andrew had that first one 6 o'clock that morning. I've never forgot it. It's baked in my mind. It's always going to be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can tell just by the fact that you remember the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, I'll never
I
forget
remembered the picture right in my mind. I woke
that. I
up
do too.
and I just had this feeling that something's wrong because he's not awake yet. And I walked, his crib was still in our bedroom at the time. And I walked over to his crib and he had a one-piece yellow sleeper on
Mhm.
and he was stiff as a board. But he wasn't convulsing. He was just laying there, stiff as a board. And his eyes were kind of rolled back in his head. And I said, there's something wrong. I picked him up to bring him downstairs. And it was like his whole body was like completely stiff. And I brought him downstairs, laid him on the change table by the telephone, which was on the wall at the time. No such thing as cell phone.
Not bad.
And I called 911 and I said, I think my baby's having a seizure. And at that time, they actually did house calls, doctor house calls. So Dr. Murdoch came over with the ambulance. And in the meantime, did start convulsing. But he had, like I said, he had a one-piece sleeper on that zipped up the leg. And we could not get the sleeper off of him. That's how tense and tight his legs were. We could not get the sleeper off of it. But yeah, I'll never forget that morning ever.
Neither will I.
I think for those who don't have a child or a loved one with epilepsy, they don't get that. Like,
No,
they
no.
don't. When I think back of the seizures that I've witnessed with Cassidy, each one was so unique.
Exactly.
Oh, I
So
like that.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for doing this. Anything I can do to help, I'm glad to help.
Thank you so much for sharing your story,
You're welcome.
answering your questions.
You guys have been through so much, and yet
Yeah, you guys have gone through so much, and you do this day to day, all year to create awareness for SUDEP.
Yep.
Relive that experience to help educate others. You guys are truly amazing and warriors yourself.
Thank you.
You're very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We're glad to help anybody
Yes.
that we can.
Well, I think the more information you get out there for people that's been in a situation like we had, the better.
Yep, for sure.
Educated.
Definitely.
Need to be educated.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't have to go through exactly what we went through.
right.
Yep.
That's the
ending.
goal.
Okay, great.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Take care. Thank you.
Okay.
And see you so much.
You.
You guys
Okay.
are amazing.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
I feel stronger than before. I'm not alone anymore. I look up and you are there. The stars are everywhere. Our lights are shining bright, filling up the night. Look in the mirror and look at me. I look like anyone else that you might see. So wave your purple colors high. Together, together we will fly. I look up and you are there. The stars are everywhere. Our lights are shining bright.